Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak dan Ibu, members of IAI and CPA Australia, our fellow accountants and professionals joining from around the region, good morning. Selamat pagi from Jakarta, Indonesia. It's good to be back and welcome you to our first regional webinar for 2024. Still with me here, your host, Oki Pratama, Executive Director of AFA. Today is it's new beginning for all, including AFA, under the new leadership of our President, Professor Dr. Doan Xuan Tien of the Vietnam Federation of Accountants and Auditors, or VAA. This year is also a new chapter for AFA as we embark on a new journey under the AFA Strategic Plan 2024-2027. And this is such an important plan for us, one that will take us to our 50th anniversary in 2027. So colleagues and friends, today's webinar is a collaboration actually between AFA and two of our member organizations, CPA Australia and the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountants or Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia atau IAI. It's certainly an honor for AFA to partner with these organizations, of course, and bring to you a brief sharing and discussion this morning on a topic that is very much relevant, especially with what is currently happening in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to respectfully invite you to observe the following housekeeping matters. So our presenter, panelists, and audience participants, please kindly keep your microphone on mute unless you are invited to speak. And to our audience, we would be more than happy to hear from you. So please do not hesitate to raise any questions or share your thoughts via our Zoom chat function throughout the entire session. You don't have to wait until the panel discussion or during the Q&A. If you have any question throughout the session, please submit them by using the chat function. And you don't have to wait until the until the Q&A session. Please kindly refrain from using the raise hand function. And we would also love to hear your feedback later after the end of this webinar. So a link to a brief post-event survey will be provided towards the end, and your response is definitely very much appreciated. And last but not least, please note that this webinar is being recorded, so your participation today represents your consent for the organizers to use this recording for our documentation and communication purposes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, last year, as part of our collaboration with CPA Australia, we conducted a regional survey on business sentiment, including in Indonesia. And a total of 208 valid responses were received from accounting and finance professionals working in Indonesia. And this comes from a wide variety of industries, of different sizes of organizations, and different level of positions, obviously. And today, we are proud to officially present you with the findings of the survey entitled as the Indonesia Business Sentiment 2023. And this publication is available for download in our website, so www.afa-accountants.org. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now, or take a quick photo of the link provided. So please use any means that you're comfortable with, but definitely the report is now launched and available for download in our website. And on behalf of AFA, I would like to thank and also congratulate CPA Australia for this excellent collaboration. Special mention, of course, to our colleagues in CPA Australia. We have Priya, Gavan, and Azfar in particular, for their support and cooperation throughout the conduct of this exercise. And of course, we would also like to thank our member organizations, especially in the case of Indonesia, IAI, for their support in connecting us with our respondents in Indonesia. Colleagues and friends, let us kick off our webinar with a welcoming address from the newly appointed AFA President, Professor Dr. Doan Xuan Tien.
Participants, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Hanoi, Vietnam. It is truly an honor to welcome you to our first webinar in 2024. Today's event is proudly organized by AFA, together with our member organization CPA Australia and IAI. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin with expressing my sincere appreciation to the AFA member organization for their support to VA leadership in AFA commencing January 2024. In the next 2 years, I look forward to working with Deputy President Dr. Adan Adi Pendener of IAI, Treasurer Mr. Nim Doan Xuan of ISCA, and our member organization to continue building on our process in changing the accountancy process in ASEAN. We are delighted to begin our journey under this new vision of leading in the advancement of the accountancy profession in support of the socio-economic enhancement of the ASEAN member states through the 3 missions of capacity building, collaboration, and collective voice. They are reflected in our AFA strategic plan 2024 to 2027, advising the accountancy profession in ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, today, Webinar is an example of our collaboration with our member organization CPA Australia and IAI. In 2023, we collaborated with CPA Australia to conduct a regional survey on business sentiment, including one focusing on Indonesia. Today, we will hear from our colleagues from CPA Australia on the key findings and recommendation of the report. The report also highlights several key challenges that require attention from the regulator, practice ones, and of course the accountants. As a regional organization in ASEAN, we are committed to continue our collaboration with our member organization, partners, and stakeholders to facilitate the capacity building of the ASEAN accountants and to continue to the growing Southeast Asia economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you will find today something useful. I hope you will enjoy the learning and something experience today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations, President, once again for your appointment as the new president of AFA, as well as your first official address as the president of AFA. And picking up on one of your key messages, It is certainly important for accountants to continue to evolve and adapt to the changing demand of our stakeholders in order to be able to provide value in our services. So before we continue with our program, I would like to now invite our panelists and guests to join us for a quick group photo. So please kindly turn on your camera, panelists and guests, to join us for a group photo. Okay, so on my 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's take another one, a quick one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, panelists and guests. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now begin with our session for this morning. Let us now hear from our colleague from CPA Australia, who will present the key findings of the survey. I would like to invite my good friend Azfar, Senior Advisor for Business, Investment and International of CPA Australia. So Azfar will briefly present and highlight some of the key findings from the survey and set the context for our panel discussion today. So good morning, Azfar. Welcome. I guess the next 20 minutes are yours.
Good morning, Oki. Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. So today, like Oki said, thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar. My name is Asa'ad from the Policy and Advocacy team at CPA Australia. So today I'll be going over the key results from the Indonesian Business Sentiment Report, as well as some relevant information from CPA Australia's upcoming Small Business Report that will be released in the coming weeks that I think complements the results that we got from the Business Sentiment Report as well. Can we go to the first slide, please? The next slide, please, the overview. Thank you. So CPA Australia and the ASEAN Federation of Accountants, we partnered on this survey, which was conducted from the 13th July to 31st August 2023. For Indonesia, a total of 208 respondents were recorded. Most responses, 28% of them were from the professional and business services industry. 64% of respondents worked in larger firms with 100 or more employees, and 25% of respondents held a C-suite or senior level positions in their organizations. This is sort of the short overview of what we found from the survey. Next slide, please. So on to the key findings. The report showed that most respondents expect their company's revenue to grow or remain the same for the most part for 2023 and 2024. The key challenge most companies face were regulatory change and compliance costs that were brought about by regulatory changes. So they were sort of the main challenges for businesses in Indonesia in 2023. Staff costs, taxes, and material costs were the biggest cost concerns in 2023. No surprises given the supply shortages and staff shortages. In 2023, Indonesian businesses were also focused on improving innovation and technology, business efficiency, and cost management. Respondents highlighted that improvements to key infrastructure, greater support for innovation and technology, and upskilling and reskilling initiatives are probably the major factors in improving Indonesia's international competitiveness. And also, respondents found that free trade agreements, or FTAs, had a positive impact on their business. Next slide, please. Next slide. So on the economic sentiment, sort of we look into further details on respondents' expectations of Indonesia's growth. When respondents were asked on their expectations for Indonesia's 2023 GDP growth, 32% of respondents expected GDP to grow by 5% or more. Now, initial data estimates show that actual GDP growth for 2023 for Indonesia is between 4.4 to 5%. So respondents were pretty much spot on with their expectations for the year. Overall, respondents had a very positive outlook for Indonesia's GDP, with 89% expecting GDP to grow or at least remain the same. Next slide, please. Next slide. So on business trends, respondents were also positive on their company's performance in 2023, with 89% expecting revenue to increase or remain the same. of that 70%, they expect their revenue to grow. So this closely reflects the positive GDP sentiment as well. We see rising GDP equating to rising business growth, and respondents sort of have reacted to this positively. Next slide. Respondents also expect their company to perform similarly in 2024, with 90% expecting revenue to increase or remain the same. However, this time there is a slight increase to 77% expecting revenue to increase. So possibly we will be seeing greater GDP growth in 2024 for Indonesia, if we are to follow the trend in 2023. Next slide, please. So in line with companies' growth expectations for 2023, 64% of firms expect to increase their headcount in 2023. This rise in employment is also reflected in data from Indonesia that showed that labor force participation rate for August 2023 reached 69.48%. So this is so far the highest since records began in 1986. So we're seeing a continuous trend in terms of company revenue growth, GDP growth, as well as employment growth, pointing to a sort of positive year. 2023 was a positive year for Indonesia. Next slide, please. Again, 75% of respondents believe that their salary will increase in 2023, with 36% expecting an increase of over 10%. This again reflects a positive outlook to respondents have towards their firm's revenue growth in terms of expecting a salary increase. Next slide, please. Now on to the challenges faced by firms. So regulatory change can indeed pose significant challenges for businesses, particularly in terms of compliance costs. When regulations are altered or new ones are introduced, companies often need to adjust their processes, systems, and sometimes even their entire business models to ensure compliance, which is why respondents from both small and large firms have cited it as their top challenge in 2023. Increasing competition and inflation rounded out the top three challenges for firms. Larger firms also struggle with geopolitical tensions as a challenge to their operations, as some might have operations across multiple markets and jurisdictions. So given the rising tensions we see, especially in areas such as the Middle East and Europe, the impact of geopolitical tensions could worsen in 2024, especially for larger firms who have operations across multiple markets. When it comes to inflation, we see smaller firms struggle. It's possibly due to higher cost of repayment, interest rates. They're probably competing in terms of supply chain issues, struggling to sort of fill in their quota and their demand. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, we saw 75% of respondents expect their salaries to increase in 2023. Therefore, it's not a surprise that staff costs were the top concern for small and large firms. This also could be attributed to the ruling by the Ministry of Manpower in Indonesia that minimum wages across the country will be increased by a maximum of 10% for 2023. This may have also affected staff costs for businesses. Taxes and material costs rounded out the top three cost concerns for all firms. Again, material costs could also be related to supply chain issues that have worsened due to geopolitical tensions. Next slide, please. As we know, technology and innovation play a crucial role in driving progress and growth across multiple sectors and industries. Many businesses have made it their top focus for 2023, along with improving business efficiency and cost management. These measures are in line with the challenges faced by firms earlier in the previous slides, and it's encouraging to see that businesses have made it like their top priority to manage the challenges faced by businesses before moving forward. Next slide, please. So now we look at international competitiveness and what respondents view how Indonesia can sort of improve their role here. Next slide. So businesses and supply chains are currently interconnected on a global scale. Therefore, enhancing international competitiveness is essential to bolster domestic businesses, equipping them with the tools and resources needed for effective competition internationally. Respondents stated that improving key infrastructure, this includes internet connectivity, transport, ports, and utilities, supporting innovation and technology, and upskilling or reskilling labor are the key areas for focus for Indonesia. These measures can help improve international access to Indonesian markets, allow for greater FDI, and provide skilled labor for businesses, which will help improve productivity and output. Next slide, please. So when we look at ASEAN economic integration, respondents were asked on the impact of ASEAN integration on business profitability. The significance of ASEAN economic integration lies in its ability to foster regional cooperation, facilitate trade and investment flows, and promote economic growth among member states. By aligning policies, reducing trade barriers, and harmonizing regulations, ASEAN integration enhances market access for economies within ASEAN, stimulate business opportunities, and strengthens the region's competitiveness on the global growth. It is encouraging to note that Indonesian respondents, 60% of those surveyed, found their business profitability had increased due to ASEAN economic integration. Only a small number, 3%, found that profitability decreased over 3%. And for the most part, we see greater ASEAN economic integration leading to greater profitability for businesses in Indonesia. Next slide, please. In addition to ASEAN economic integration, Indonesia is also part of several FTAs. FTAs hold considerable significance in the realm of international trade and economic cooperation. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, is a free trade agreement among 11 countries. The member countries are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. So collectively, these countries represent a significant portion of global GDP and trade. When asked on the impact of the CPTPP, 48% of respondents found that it had a positive impact on their business. However, there is still room for improvement in this area, as only 33% of respondents are unaware of the impact of the CPTPP. So this could be either positive or negative, and they've sort of not really identified what role their business plays in this free trade agreement, or how does this free trade agreement affect their business. So in this sense, the government, regulators, those involved in the space can play a key role here in increasing awareness among businesses by providing educational content, workshops, and incentives, and reaching out to businesses who could be affected by free trades and helping them sort of accommodate the free trade agreement or sort of work within it. We look at the next slide. So again, we look at another free trade agreement, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Signed by 15 Asia-Pacific countries, it encompasses both traditional trade areas like goods and services and investment, as well as newer areas such as e-commerce and intellectual property. The RCEP was initiated by ASEAN in 2012 and includes ASEAN's 10 member states, as well as 5 of ASEAN's key FTA partners: Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. The RCEP has a slightly higher positive impact on businesses at 51% when compared to the CPTPP. This is somewhat expected as it involves more ASEAN member states and possibly takes advantage of existing ASEAN integration, as we saw earlier, which had a very positive impact on Indonesian businesses. However, more businesses are also uncertain about the impact of RCEP on their business at 34% when compared to the CPTPP. Again, there is room here to increase the awareness of RCEP and FTAs in general, to encourage businesses to sort of explore greater international markets and look for wider market access on a regional as well as international level. Can we go to the next slide, please? So respondents believe that in line with their focus on technology and innovation, 50% of respondents believe that tech and e-commerce sectors have the highest growth potential in the next 5 years. This is no surprise given that, based on public data, we found that the number of internet users in Indonesia reached 212 million with a penetration rate of 77% as of January last year. This number increased by about 4% compared to the previous year, and this invariably can lead to greater online sales for businesses and access for consumers. So sustainability, again, being a current hot topic globally, is also expected to grow strongly. We see Indonesia's focus on sustainability-related industries such as EV. This is no surprise, and it should be encouraged further. Next slide, please. We look again at a slide on ESG. Most respondents stated that their business has adopted some form of ESG practice. It's also encouraging to see that only 10% of respondents stated that their business will not spend any time on ESG initiatives in 2023. Again, this reflects the industry focus, a strong focus on sustainability in Indonesia, not just from the government level, but as well from the businesses in general. Next slide, please. So this will conclude the summary of the key findings from the Indonesian Business Sentiment Report. I'd also like to take the opportunity now to share some relevant information regarding the Indonesian market from the upcoming CPA Australia Asia Pacific Small Business Report. This survey was conducted in late November 2023 and focuses solely on small businesses in Asia Pacific. The survey looks to identify key factors that contribute to business growth, challenges, business motivation, and technology use. The upcoming report will be the 15th iteration of the Small Business Survey. There were a total of 4,222 respondents from 11 markets. From the commencement of the survey in 2009, we have surveyed over 39,000 small businesses across the region. For Indonesia last year, there were a total of 302 responses. So in terms of small business performance in 2023, Indonesian businesses have grown when compared to the previous years. Business growth has almost returned to pre-pandemic levels and has rebounded strongly from the decline caused by the pandemic. Indonesian businesses have also consistently outperformed the survey average since 2014, a testament to the robust growth of small businesses in Indonesia. In terms of growth expectations in 2024, Indonesia again outperforms the survey average with stronger growth expected this year. The result from the small business report closely reflects the business growth performance expectations from the respondents in the business sentiment report as well. The next slide, please. So in terms of technology use, the small business report shows that Indonesian small businesses were focused on online sales in 2023, with 69% reporting that more than 10% of their revenue came from online sales. Again, reflecting the result from the sentiment report, where technology and e-commerce is expected to be the strongest sector for growth in the next 5 years. 66% of businesses also found that their investment in technology has improved their business profitability. However, given the strong focus on online sales, small businesses have not ensured their cybersecurity protections are up to par. Only 47% of businesses have reviewed their cybersecurity protections in the past 6 months, but 56% expect to be cyber attacked in the coming year. Furthermore, according to data from the National Cybersecurity Index, Indonesia's cybersecurity index score is 38.96 out of 100 in 2022. This places Indonesia at the third lowest rank among G20 countries. So businesses should look to consult with IT consultants or specialists more often to ensure that their cybersecurity policies are up to date and online business operations are effective to ensure continued growth and protection of consumer data. On social media, we found that businesses that were more engaged online on social media were more likely to be high performing and experiencing stronger growth. In Indonesia, it's encouraging to see only 5% of respondents stated that they did not use social media for business purposes, which then shows the strong growth of Indonesian small businesses when compared to the survey average. Next slide, please. So we look at business activity. The top business activity undertaken was to obtain external funds for business. Most of these funds were used for business growth at 61%, while 48% required external funds for business survival. This is a positive shift as it shows businesses are looking to expand operations despite a challenging global business environment. Like the sentiment report, increasing costs had a major negative impact on businesses. ESG again was a priority for most businesses. Only 17% did not spend any time and resources on ESG in 2023. Next slide, please. Again, reflecting the sentiment report, the top business activity plan for 2024 is to increase employee numbers. This reflects strong growth expectations and expanding business operations of Indonesian businesses. The expectation to seek external funds is also a high priority, with businesses expecting it to be easy to very easy to access finance in 2024. This could be to the easing high inflation environment, possibly leading to lower interest rates, which would make bank loans cheaper. So again, I would just want to emphasize that the small business report and the business sentiment report focused on two different sort of areas, although there was some overlap, but the results sort of complement each other and show that Indonesia's trends, business growth for small businesses, large businesses, medium and big businesses are sort of on the same track. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll pass it back to Oki to continue the session. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Azfar. Right on time as well. So thank you for that. So yeah, some encouraging responses from our respondents in Indonesia. So that's good to hear. That's good to see. And it will be interesting, of course, to see whether this aspiration for growth can be fully realized, right? And especially with the potential extended uncertainties of a major political year in the country in 2024. So that will be interesting to see. And I think the best way for us to discuss this today is to invite our two esteemed panelists to join us for the panel discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to welcome our two panelists. First, we have Bapak Gede Nyoman Yetna, Chair of the Business Sector Accountants Compartment of IAI, and Director of Listing of the Indonesian Stock Exchange. Selamat pagi, Pak Nyoman. Terima kasih Pak atas kesediaannya untuk bergabung bersama kami pagi ini, Pak. It's an honor to have you in the panel. Yes, and of course, second, I would like to welcome Bapak Dr. Arman Hermawan, President Director of Arta Jasa e-Payment or ATM Bersama. He's also a fellow member of CPA Australia and Indonesia. Good morning, Pak Arman. Terima kasih juga atas waktunya, Pak. We very much appreciate your commitment to contribute to our panel discussion today, Pak.
Morning, Pak Oki. Honored to be invited in this forum, Pak Oki. Thank
you, Pak Arman. And of course, last but not least, we are also welcoming back our colleague Azfar to the panel as well. And happy to for you to jump into any questions that we may have, especially if we get any questions from our participant Azfar, maybe addressed to you. So welcome back, Azfar. Okay, so before we begin, perhaps I would like to use this opportunity to invite once again everyone to participate in this panel discussion. So our audience, more than 300 participants that we have today in this room. So do share your questions or comments via our chat function. I can already see one question there, maybe that we're going to address later during our panel discussion. Again, you're welcome to share any question or maybe any feedback or that you may have on anything that we're going to be discussing this morning, as well as some of the information that Azfar has shared in his presentation as well. So please do use the chat function. Let us know if you have any question or any comments. Bapak Ibu, silakan kalau ada yang ingin menggunakan bahasa Indonesia juga di chat functionnya, nanti bisa juga kita bantu, terutama kalau pertanyaannya itu ditujukan kepada Azfar, tapi kalau ke Pak Arman, Pak Nyoman, tentunya bisa langsung silahkan kalau yang lebih nyaman dengan bahasa Indonesia. Okay, perhaps to kickstart our discussion, Pak Nyoman, Pak Arman, we've heard from Azfar obviously, so maybe it's good for us to start with both of you to give you the opportunity perhaps to share your general observations of these key findings that Azfar has kindly highlighted in his presentation, perhaps with reference to your respective background as well. Maybe I will give the opportunity first to Pak Nyoman. Yeah, Pak Arman. Maybe we start with Pak Nyoman first, and then after that we'll go to you, Pak Arman. Pak Nyoman.
Okay, thank you, Pak Oki. I start based on the 6 findings, key finding highlighted in the report. Here are some thoughts regarding each finding. The first one about company revenue growth. This is really interesting, actually. We can see from the survey result, the respondents were showing the optimism regarding Indonesia economic condition in 2023 and also in 2024. The respondents' expectation align actually with performance of listed companies on Indonesian Stock Exchange. Based on the submitted financial report, listed companies in third quarter 2023, we can see around 60%. Yeah, I repeat, 60% of listed companies recorded an increase in the revenue. And the second key findings is about regulatory changes. From the regulatory point of view, regulatory changes and adjustment are essential to stay relevant amidst the market dynamic, of course. In 2023, IDX launched and renewed several regulations related to the first one, investor protection and market deepening. In the past 3 years, some groundbreaking progress regarding product and trading infrastructure have been implemented as well. Of course, IDX hope the regulation will not increase the cost of listed companies going forward. And afterward, the third, I'm focusing on the staff costs. On average, salary and employment expenses of listed companies comprise 55% of total operating expenses on average. It is also in line with the contribution of staff costs in IDX itself, which contributed almost 40% in 2023. And the fourth one about innovation and technology improvement, IDX itself has 3 strategies to develop our market. The first one is about investor protection. The second one is about market deepening. And the third one is about regional synergy and connectivity. Moreover, innovation and technology become an inseparable part of the initiative implemented those areas. The fifth, about international competitiveness, IDX has been continuously utilizing what we call cutting-edge technology and innovation, improving its key infrastructure, including trading capacity and also regulation, which can accommodate the market needs to enhance its strategic competitiveness among global stock exchanges. The last one is about free trade agreement. This is really interesting as well. We believe that trade agreement will benefit Indonesian economy in general, even though there are still challenges to overcome regarding Indonesia readiness for labor productivity and infrastructure quality. That's all, Mas Oki.
Yes, thank you, Pak Nyoman. I guess some interesting insight. Thank you for sharing those insights with us this morning. And it's good to see some consistencies as well, right? I mean, in terms of your observation of the situation in Indonesia from your perspective, of course, with what has been highlighted in the report. So it's good to see that there's more than 200 respondents that this particular report is based on. Actually, is quite a good representation of, well, hopefully it's quite a good representation of how the general economy is looking towards the outlook for this year. So thank you for highlighting those points, Pak Nyoman. Maybe I'll give the opportunity to Pak Arman next. Your view on this, Pak Arman.
Thank you, Pak Oki, Pak Asa'ad, and Pak Nyoman. Thank you for being panelists with us today. So I think before I comment what Pak Asa'ad presentations, first I want to highlight that actually Indonesia should be separated from Asia or ASEAN, Asa'ad. I think because we see the demographic population growth and islandizations are quite different from the rest of Asia or ASEAN countries. So maybe the one that we can relate Indonesia is with India, I assume, compared to Malaysia or Philippines or Vietnam else. Like Brazil. For Brazil, I think we differentiate Brazil from the BRICS or from Latin America, right? Because different growth and different characteristic of the economy. So with this, I strongly believe that Indonesia will be having strong growth in 2024, maybe at least 5%, but I expect it will be more, 5%. There are 4 bases that I see that the growth can be higher than 5%. First, regulation change. I see that regulations in Indonesia is quite massive in terms of the technology advancements and also for digital payment and also digital fintech. If we see in 2011, the fintech company is only 11 companies. But when we see in 2024, as we speak, is about 344. So the regulations support the advancements of digitalizations of payment, transactions, lending, and else in Indonesia. So I think it drives growth for Indonesia. And another one, growth of the countries are, maybe Pak Nyoman will also agree with me that driven by the solid consumptions and the technology invention. So the solid consumptions with the advancements of B2C commerce, B2C lending, insurance, wealth, So, for example, e-wallet user at this moment is about more than 70 million users. So with this, I believe that it will drive the solar consumptions and hence it will impact in the growth later on. But problem or the challenge is how we manage the inflation so that 3.2, 3.5 can be managed. And then another basis is that I agree with the presentation from Asa'ad is that cybersecurity, data protections, or from Pak Nyoman is investor protections are becoming the risk that we have to oversee quite carefully. So with this best practice implemented in Indonesia is very important. So how we adopt best practice cybersecurity protections, consumer data protections can be implemented in Indonesia very soon. And then another one is in terms of not talking about the payment, but talking about the ESG. Yes, I think in terms of the energy transitions and also green facility or green economy need to be enhanced. At this moment, we are still talking about the ethics and the compliance, but the business-wise need more further enhancement. For example, even though we are talking about green, but all should discuss with PLN, of which for PLN or our energy company still not prefer, I assume that still easy doing the coal things, right? Because it's already there. Coal is our mine, so I think it's very easy for them to use coal rather than the green one. Another one is it's more expensive in terms of doing the investments in terms of the green economy and the green infrastructures. So this is my view, Pak Oki, Pak Asa'ad, in terms of the presentation that Pak Asa'ad presenting today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pak Arman, for sharing those insights as well. Two points that I sort of I'm quite interested in hearing from you. You mentioned about technology advancements and consumptions. Us being, definitely is the biggest market in the region for sure. So it has been something that definitely something that's been I guess helped us during the pandemic as well. But also it's going to be something that is going to play an important role in our I guess Indonesia's effort to sort of rebuild after we deal with the impact of the pandemic, right? So, we're going to discuss that in further details later, Pak, especially on technology, because we would love to hear your thoughts on this as well. But before we go there, Azfar, there is a question in the chat function that I think we sort of need to address first before we proceed with the other questions, right? It's quite interesting question. So I guess this is to AFA and CPA Australia. I mean, what prompted this collaboration, right? I mean, are there any specific objectives that we are aiming to achieve with this initiative? Maybe if I may, I will start, Asa'ad. So for us, AFA is a regional organizations with now 21 member organization. Collaboration is always the foundation of everything that we do, Bapak Ibu. So it's not just about collaboration to organize events, activities, project initiative, as well as publications such as this report. So we know that our member organizations, including CPA Australia, they have the experience and expertise on conducting this kind of exercise, especially on topics that we share strategic interest in, including this. So as a regional body, of course, it's always in our interest to provide the latest, I guess, insights to our members and our stakeholders in the region, including this business sentiment insight. So that's why we conducted this with CPA Australia last year, and hopefully this is something that we can continue in terms of our collaboration, because again, we want to provide our members and the stakeholders in the region with the latest information. So you can pick this up as we continue to encourage you to download the report. Do download the report and share with your colleagues. I mean, share the report within your network, and hopefully that could kickstart a discussion among your network as well. So, I think that's for me. From me as well. Anything that you want to would you like to add? from CPA Australia's perspective?
I agree with Oki, to expand like what our offerings are to members. And also ASEAN is probably one of the more developing regions. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, we have the more wider markets who are more developed. We have the developing markets. It's very varied. As Pak Arman said, like Indonesia is a very interesting market, and you have to look at it separately as well. So delving deeper, we already have the small business survey that looks at a number of markets, but we thought looking into ASEAN, and we have the relationship with AFA through Oki, why not we look into this further and see how well, what the results are. And thankfully enough, the results sort of match with the expectations of the experts. So it shows, again, like Oki was saying, it's quite representative. The members and those who respond to the survey have a good grasp of what are the issues and the challenges of the economy. So repeating it again this year and the coming years looks like a good idea, because we can use this as a base, and even governments, regulators, policymakers can use this document and sort of look at it and see what accountants are looking at. Their sort of hot topics of the month, their issues that they're looking at. So definitely that's what sparked our interest in actually collaborating on this.
Yes, thank you for highlighting those points as well, Asa'ad. So yeah, everyone, I mean, we always, I mean, in the lookout for these collaborations, not just with our member organization, but also our partners in the region. So again, do follow our social media accounts, or do visit our website for the latest updates. So it's plentiful of resources, I'm sure, that you can use in your engagement with your stakeholders as well. Okay, so enough on that. So let's continue with our discussion with the two panels, because I can see the list of questions is growing very fast. So thank you, our participants, for your questions. Well, I do want to address one particular question. Maybe I should address this to you, Pak Nyoman, because this is talking about, I guess, the economic growth or GDP in Indonesia in 2024. Since you mentioned this in your observation as well earlier. I mean, so the question is this: I mean, which industry expected to be the primary catalyst for the economic growth of the GDP in 2024 for Indonesia? Is it technology sector? Maybe Pak Arman can chip in after we hear from Pak Nyoman after this. Pak Nyoman, maybe we go to you first.
I think the first one is consumer good. Yeah, because we are a populous country. We have a really huge population. And based on GDP growth also in 2023, also boosted by household consumption, contributed as the biggest portion in our GDP. The second one is about technology, of course. We are encountering a new era in Indonesia, and then we are embracing this new model business by providing and giving incentive for the technology company to come to IDX. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman. Anything from you, Pak Arman?
Pak, can you rephrase again, Pak? Sorry, Pak. Okay, the question.
Oh, the question. Yeah, sure. Pak Arman. So basically, the question is, which industry is expected to be primary catalyst for the economic growth of GDP in 2024 for Indonesia? Is it the technology sector? I'm sure you being part of the industry. I mean, do you agree with that assumption?
Yes. Actually, I may say here like this, Pak. Okay, and everyone that in participants here. The differentiation between developing and developed economies, I think if I may say, there are three drivers. But first is that developing economies usually involve the high labor-intensive manufacturing and industrial market, right? And then the second one, regulatory change, enforcement, as well as the structural compliance and bureaucrat is not there yet. And the third one is the innovations. So like Korea, Japan, and Singapore, why they can go out from the middle income trap company? Because the innovation is there. So in Indonesia, I believe that with 2 billion transactions of the, for example, fintech, we call it Kris transaction in Indonesia. And then fintech emergence from 11 into 344 companies. And then many also core banking practice in Indonesia. It will trigger the economic growth in Indonesia that I believe it will be strong more than 5%. So, but the one that we have to see carefully, I agree with the Asa'ad presentation, is cyber security and data protection. At this moment, we are ranked bottom three in the G20 company in terms of cybersecurity and then data protections, or ranking 83 compared to 180 developing countries. So I think with this, government should be allocating some resource and efforts to address this. And I believe Menkominfo or Bank Indonesia will focus on this data protections and the cybersecurity years ahead, and will allocate more budget for that one. That's my point of view, Pak. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pak Arman. Thank you for sharing that aspiration as well. I think that particular that last point that you made is sort of, I guess, address one of the questions as well that we had in the chat function. So perhaps I will sort of pivot this, and maybe, even though I think Pak Nyoman, you've mentioned this in your observation, but maybe just to reconfirm, if you want to add anything on this point as well, and maybe Pak Arman, because you are in the industry, maybe you would like to chip in this as well. But the question is this: I mean, obviously in our survey, in Azfar presentation, one of the things being highlighted is that the respondent expect their company's revenue to grow or remain about the same 2023 2024. But in terms of the actual condition now, 2024, I mean, is this something that's I guess that match that expectation that the respondents raised last year in 2023 when the study was conducted, especially in Indonesia now, 2024 being, I guess, a political year? Maybe Pak Nyoman, would you like to respond to this?
Yeah, actually, right now, we have been waiting for the updated financial statement as of December 2023. But as I mentioned to you, regarding company revenue growth, actually what Asa'ad mentioned, based on the financial submission in the third quarter 2023, around 60% of this company recorded an increase in their revenue. This is in line. Of course, we are waiting for the updated financial statement. But up to now, we are observing that the information about the expectation and the fundamental performance in reality, based on the third quarter, of course, 2023, the data is still in line. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman, for confirming that. Pak Arman, anything to add from you?
Okay, Pak. Maybe I mentioned like this: the growth. Again, the growth is coming from the solid consumptions of Indonesia, Pak. So I think the consumption will further growing with the e-commerce and B2C markets evolving. So with this, I expect that the growth will be higher. And another one, I think I left my point as well from Asa'ad presentation, is that the ASEAN support on the ecosystems in Indonesia. Arta Jasa and other company supported by Bank Indonesia and associations already launched the cross-border CRIS transactions between Indonesia and Thailand, Indonesia and Malaysia, and Indonesia with Singapore. Soon it will be with China and India. So I think with this cross-border transaction through CRIS, the dependence on the US dollar will be lower, because we can do settle transactions between both countries who's doing the transactions. with connections to 27 merchants in Indonesia. So all the Singaporeans, Malaysians can go into Indonesia and do CRIS, and we settle between Indonesian and Malaysian ringgit or Indonesian with Singapore dollars, nothing to do with the US dollar anymore. So with this, it will save budget of the country, state budget, and it will help increase growth as well anymore. Another one, I strongly believe that infrastructure development will be continued with whoever the administration will be, because it benefiting people in Indonesia. Yes, with the infrastructure development going rapid, money comes into the government and to the market, so it will boost the economic growth and also the consumptions. So with the continuation infrastructure development, maybe I may say hypothetically IKN, new capital city, and then new renovations and refurbishment of Jakarta, for example. So it will impact into the more growth of the country. That's my point of view, Pak Nyoman and Pak Oki. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pak Arman. Actually, you managed to successfully, I think, address another questions that we have received in the chat function. Because and maybe I'll give the opportunity, Pak Nyoman, if you want to add anything to address this question, just because we do receive a question on this. So one of the major focuses for economic development in the last 5 years has been on infrastructure. So any project in particular that you think are essential in driving Indonesia's growth? I mean, Pak Arman obviously has mentioned about, well, the upcoming new capital of Indonesia, among other things. Pak Nyoman, anything to add?
Yeah, regarding the infrastructure, of course, the first one is about physical infrastructure. Yeah, has been major development agenda in Indonesia. To achieve Indonesia infrastructure development target by 2024, I think a total investment around 6,500 trillion really needed. The state budget, I think, can only cover around 37% of the financing. As the regulator and facilitator of Indonesia infrastructure project, the government has invited participation by the private sector through public-private partnership, actually. And the secondly, from the infrastructure perspective, is about financial infrastructure. Compared to other, okay, we can relate to what we have been doing in stock exchange or capital market industry. Indonesia, we acknowledge we still have a lot room to grow. And of course, Indonesian capital market regulation have been continuously improving its key infrastructure by utilizing technology and innovation, upgrading its capacity through development product, how to develop few instruments, and how to prepare friendly regulation to the market. This is really important in our capital market. At least we give you 3 examples. The first one is about electronic initial public offering, or EIPO. This is web-based electronic stock offering system that is accessible by investor, and then we are able to invite more and even more participation from investor. We actually didn't ever dream that the investor are coming from all over the world. Based on data, 50 participation from certain newly listed companies are coming from at least 50 countries around the world. And the second one, this is about trading system enhancement. Of course, in our industry, we need reliable and relevant information. We upgrade trading system enhancement. And the third example is about infrastructure in terms of regulation. We actually have already launched the first one, the new economy board. This is the board especially for improving investor protection. Especially we put the company that has different business model than conventional one. And the second one, we introduce also multiple voting share. This rule regulate the application of multiple voting share, conferring the right to more than one vote for the shareholder, meeting specific requirement. That's all, Mas Oki.
Yes, thank you, Pak Nyoman, for sharing those information. And I think, well, it's not just about initiative or actions that you have kindly highlighted, Pak Nyoman, right? And I will try to pivot to some of the questions that we've received from our audience as well on regulation, Pak Nyoman. And I think there's an opportunity for all the panelists to sort of address these questions. Maybe I'll stick with you first, Pak Nyoman. I think because you also have that I guess a regulator role attached to you, Pak Nyoman. So in addition to the different initiatives and actions that you have highlighted, I mean, can you think of any particular regulations that have been introduced by our government, maybe even maybe specifically by Bursa, Pak, that having the biggest impact in terms of, I guess, supporting or assisting our industry, especially in the last years or so?
Okay, thank you. For the past few years, actually ADX has been adjusting several regulations regarding some material issues, such as listing requirement. This is really important in order to accommodate the needs of any varieties of business model. And also we improve our listing requirement in order to enhance our competitiveness among stock exchanges around the world. And the second one, of course, we create new product or instrument or services. The aim is to increase market liquidity, market deepening, and investor protection. Hence, right now in capital market, there is no specific area of this regulation that causes the rising financial costs for IDX stakeholder. Mas Oki, I return to you.
Yes, thank you, Pak Nyoman. And I think especially the stakeholders of the business in Indonesia certainly are I'm sure are getting the benefits of introduction of those, I guess, helpful policies and regulation, right? But especially those that will continue to help them in I guess recovering from the impact of the pandemic for sure, but also from the impact of the global business, global economic that continue to impact economy in pretty much everywhere, including Indonesia. So yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing those information, Pak Nyoman. Maybe I'll go to you next, Pak Arman. Still under the, I guess, under the theme of regulation, we receive a question. So let me just read out the question to you, Pak. So how likely that based on governmental policies, regulation alone, that Indonesia could change its business sentiment or morely its economic positively? And how should we respond as an individual to promote these policies to capture this prospect positively? Perhaps as someone from the industry, you can sort of share your I guess your observation or insights to address this question, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Oki. I support the notions from Pak Nyoman as well, Pak Oki, that government has done many works to accelerate and to be more friendlier with the industry and the private. In the industry I'm involved, Bank Indonesia already support the implementations of QR payment. We call it KRIS, right? KRIS is Indonesia, I think, is the most progressive compared to the other countries. At this moment, we may say that 2023 2 billion transactions a year, and then more than 70 million wallet users. It shows tremendous support from the governments on the digitalizations of financial. Why is it important, Pak Oki and everyone here? Maybe I assume 60% of Indonesian citizens cannot access to the bank service. Right? From 250 million people, 150 million cannot access to the bank service, or even they never come to the bank's office. So with the CRIS implementations and others that Artajasa provide, so they can now access to the pay letters or like a kind loan. They can access to the transactions without card, without cash. And then they can do many things, transferring between friends without bank's involvement. So with this, I see that the transactions, the velocity of money, solid consumption will trigger the growth of Indonesia's economy, and also for Artajasa itself. The second one is the literacy of the customers on doing the transactions in e-commerce and else. It helps the growth as well in terms of digitalizations of financial in Indonesia. And importantly, since our market is driven by SME, small medium enterprise, Office in Asa'ad said that a small medium enterprise ecosystem, of which less of them can have access to the bank service and investment sources fund. So with the CRIS implementations, digital fintech, of which we have but 344 company, so it makes SMEs easy to have an access to the bank service through non-bank company. So with this, SME can be driver for the economic growth, literacy of the customer is there, Bank Indonesia and government support, and keep innovating from industry players makes this technology advancement in Indonesia looks marvelous in driving the economic growth in the 2024 and beyond. That's okay from my point of view.
Yes, thank you, Pak Arman. And again, somehow you've managed to address another questions that we've received in the chat function as well on technology, especially on your plan to sort of, I guess, adopt or evolve your service to meet these changing demands and better service your customers, obviously. So thank you for saving my time to also specifically
Sorry.
address that question. No, thank you,
I had a
Pak
curve.
Arman.
Pak Soki,
Yes, Pak Nyoman.
can I add in
Yes,
line?
please.
Yeah, in line with the research result, I think we had better discuss that our government, yeah, of course, it is not in our capital market. We can say there are few actually regulation that give impact to the cost of the company. The first one of regarding workers' monthly average wage trend. Yeah, the average Indonesian worker monthly wage has been increasing since 2015, although experienced a slight downturn in 2020 because due to COVID-19 pandemic. But the most important thing is that worker monthly average wage trend increasingly. That is the first one. The second one is about tax revenue trend, of course. The tax revenue earned and targeted by the government has been increasing since post-pandemic recovery. It relates to the target from our government. So it aligned with the result, yeah, that the regulation regarding worker monthly wage, tax revenue, and the last is about commodity price. Of course, commodity price continue to rise amid geopolitical issue, climate change, and supply disruption. So that's why I emphasize that three dimensions that we have already elaborated to you give impact to the cost of the company going forward. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Pak Nyoman. Some more insights, more valuable insights shared by especially by our two panelists this morning, but which I'm sure our participants will find very useful. So it's not just about information in the report itself, but more insights coming from our two panelists. But we're not forgetting you, Azfar, because there is a question that I think, I don't know if you want to try to address this, since we've been talking about regulation in the last 5 minutes or so as well. There is a question addressed to you, I believe. So what sort of regulatory and compliance issues are most commonly found in the survey? I mean, if the survey asks this question, maybe you want to address this as well.
Yes, thank you, Oki. Yeah, I saw the question. Unfortunately, we didn't go into details on that. We just sort of left it as regulatory change and compliance costs. But I believe there was also a follow-up question, like how can individuals or businesses sort of keep up and reduce the impact of this? Because I think that's the biggest thing, because we cannot influence government policy, especially as Pak Nyoman and Pak Arman mentioned, you're in a political year with the election just finished. So we could see more regulatory changes this year. I think the most important thing is ensuring like technology adoption. In businesses should invest in technology solutions that automate as many tasks as possible to reduce issues involving data accuracies, to ensure compliance with regulations more effectively. Adopt a risk-based approach, training your staff, your employees in a sense, so that they have the necessary skills and the know-how to work around regulations, to comply with regulations, so that they don't have any issues in the future. Businesses also should, I believe we see from the small business survey, businesses that engage with professional business advisors, accountants and stuff, tend to reduce their costs, but at the same time increasing profits. So these professionals, or getting professional business advice, could help businesses navigate regulatory changes and compliance costs. So if businesses have, of course, I'm saying that this is a cost to businesses. So if there is, if you are profitable, you have the finances, this could then improve your finances further on. But then there's also a room for government to step in, to have government-led business advice, or in a sense, or provide them with workshops to help navigate changes in regulations. I feel like that's the biggest thing. And there's also one question I thought I will just address really quickly on the survey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So someone asked, Jerry asked, how did the survey methodology ensure diverse representation? Of course, I would have to admit that it might be a bit biased because we share it among AFA members and CPA members. It might be a bit biased to accountants and those in the profession. But with that being said, the survey results sort of match the wider views of the government results. Like we see Pak Nyoman and Pak Arman share that the survey results match government estimates, government expectations, experts and economists. So while it might more the audience of the survey might be more accountant related, but we see the results matching a wider range of audience. So that might be a bit of a bias in a sense, but I don't think it's an issue, especially seeing the experts in the field sort of reiterate that the results are quite accurate in a sense. So that's just something that we should remember at the end of the day as well. Thank you.
Yeah, or maybe because accountants, these respondents definitely know what they're talking about, right? As well. So
it's a testament to the membership.
Yes, yes. So thank you, Azfar. Well, I'm aware of the time, so let me just sort of quickly pivot to a different part of our, I guess, discussions, because we do have a list of questions. Thank you again, everyone, for your questions. Maybe for this next one, I would try to briefly address this particular question. Maybe I'll give this opportunity to you, Pak Arman and Pak Nyoman. Maybe later, if you want to chip in again, please do so, Pak Arman. So, Pak Arman, there is a question about skills shortage in particular. So I guess one of the things that the survey is looking at is labor cost, obviously. So and the report showed that I believe it's 64% of respondents expect their company to increase their headcount. But we have a question from one of our audience asking that, so with this such fastly changing business landscape, this expectation, are we, Indonesia, Are we facing a skill shortage issue, or do we have the capacity to meet this demand for skills?
Okay, and everyone here. When you are talking about talent shortage, it happens everywhere. In CPA Australia, in Bursa, Artajasa, and else, I think, well, we don't have any talent that can drive the innovations and else. So that there are three, but I think I have to change the place, but this is a bit, can you hear the noise? No, Pak?
No, it's fine, Pak. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So that I believe that talent shortage is everywhere. So in Artajasa, there are 3 P that we are focusing on. But first is people, and then process, and then another one is the partnership. People drive innovations, process drive agile cultures and agile business effectiveness, and partnership should be there because we don't have any capacity to do a lot more advancement in technology by ourselves. So for people, yes, we put it at the first place is very important. So the one that we can do is whether we're going to do organic or inorganic, right? So that alignment with the ASEAN global citizenship will be there, Pak. We have to don't to be naive, Pak, that we have to open the access to global citizen as well. Not only from foreign coming to Indonesia, but also from Indonesia coming to there, Pak, as a on-the-job training, as a training, and else in other countries. So with this, I see that exchange in terms of the labor will be more fluid in the 2024 and 2025, especially for the technology advancement. Maybe I didn't say that for infrastructure, not so there because infrastructure is quite simple. But for technology, financial, cybersecurity, data center, big data analytics, it must be more fluid in terms of the exchange in terms of labor, Pak Oki. So I believe people will be more focused for most company in the 2024-2025. That's okay from my thinking. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you for your response, Pak Arman. I like that, especially on the 3 Ps. I don't know, Pak Nyoman, if you want to add anything on this. I mean, because obviously with the Bursa, you have this. You can observe the companies under your observation, right? I mean, you see this? I guess you share this sentiment as well in terms of skill shortage.
Yeah, this is our observation on IDX itself. Yeah. The first one, of course, we are encountering the same condition regarding the talent. The most important thing that we have already been doing right now, the first one, we develop what we call talent pool. Yeah. The second one, we are trying to widen the coverage of talent pool by giving a chance for a certain institution, for example, it related to university around Indonesia, then we are coming there and then pick the best candidate. And the third one, we develop what we call knowledge database. By using this database, we are trying to put our experience, textbook knowledge from the senior staff into database. This is really important in order to improve the capacity of new talent, and then how to preserve our uniqueness, for example, or our skill from the senior one. And the fourth one is about how to retain the employee. This is really important because the era of the new generation, of course, we need a special approach to them. We give scholarship, and then the most important thing, how to create a conducive ambience. And then we are trying to implement remote access or remote work work from anywhere in certain period of time. So it will give like a attractiveness for young generation to come. Of course, the package, the salary package should be competitive. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting, I guess, piece of information that I hope everyone here is picking up on, Pak Nyoman. And I think it's been the trend in our workforce as well, in Indonesia as well, right? In the last, or definitely during the pandemic, even before that, this trend of working from anywhere, trying to attract this new breed of talents, especially the younger generations, who believe that they, unfortunately, I'm no longer part of that generation. So you will believe that they can work from anywhere. They can still contribute to their organization, the business from anywhere by utilizing technology. So yes, so definitely this is something that's also relevant in other ASEAN jurisdictions as per our observation. So a lot of these in Indonesian issues or challenges are not actually unique. Each jurisdiction are also facing similar issues, perhaps to a different degree. But it's good to see there are, I guess, common challenges that we are trying to address together, at least at the regional level, as part of our collaboration with our member organizations, including CPA Australia and IAI. So thank you for your answer, Pak Nyoman. We do have more questions that I would like to sort of address. There is a particular part of the study that I think I'm very much interested to hear more thoughts from our panelists. So I would like to take this opportunity to sort of pivot and then go to that bit of the study, which is on ESG, Pak Arman and Pak Nyoman. So maybe I'll go to Pak Nyoman first on this. Yes, yeah, even though I think in your observation you sort of touch on this as well briefly, but maybe if you want to add, or you want to emphasize, re-emphasize some of the points that you have made on this. So basically, the report showed that only 10% of respondents did not spend any time resource on ESG last year. So how has Indonesia fostered the adoption of ESG practices among companies? I mean, do you have examples that you want to, I guess, highlight or re-emphasize, or regulatory frameworks, incentive, or initiative that have been instrumental, I guess, in promoting ESG integration into business strategies and operations? I know that this is something that we've been focusing on. A lot of stakeholders in Indonesia has been focusing on in the last, definitely in the last 3 or 4 years, Pak Nyoman.
Yeah. This is a really interesting question. Following Indonesia's commitment to achieve the United Nations SDGs, IDX has implemented a series of sustainable finance initiatives. This is as part of our effort to create an inclusive and globally competitive capital market, as well as to become also catalyst to realize Indonesia economic sector that is healthy, for, of course, stable and growing sustainably. There are a few initiatives. The first one is about IDX become a part of sustainable stock exchange. Yeah, we give example, and we also a part of task force on climate-related financial disclosure. This is the first one. And the second one, we launched a few ESG-focused indices, including, I just mentioned 4 from few indices, IDX ESG leaders. And we have also ESG Quality 45 IDX Kehati. We also have ESG sector leaders IDX Kehati, and we also have IDX LQ45 low carbon leader. Those are the indices that we have. The third one, we did collaboration with Sustainalytics to provide the ESG score. We both IDX on also listed company. We are trying to score ourselves. And fortunately, IDX score was around 17, means we have low risk. And the fourth, this is the initiative as well. We issuance IDX sustainability report based on OJK regulation. Of course, this is based on regulation 51 in 2017. The next effort is about ESG capacity building for IDX stakeholder, which aim to increase the awareness regarding ESG principle and to foster the ESG implementation. So this is activity to increase the capacity and knowledge of our stakeholder, especially listed companies. And the next effort is regarding the issuance of regulation that support sustainability based on financial instrument by providing incentive to the issuance of green bond regulation. We give 50% in terms of fee of annual report, annual listing fee and initial listing fee for the company to come to IDX and issued what we call green bond. And of course, the last, IDX is not the place for trading like a stock and bond. We open what we call IDX Carbon Initiative. That's all, Mas Oki.
Thank you, Pak Nyoman. So for those of you asking questions about what are our governments doing to facilitate, to support this ESG movements, definitely there's been plenty of action. There's definitely plenty of regulations, policies to support the industries, to facilitate the stakeholders, to start and also to help them to further advance their ESG journey. So I guess there's no more excuses for our businesses not taking the advantage of this a lot of this different policies or regulations that our governments, including the stock exchange as well, has introduced to help the business. So thank you for sharing those, Pak Nyoman. Pak Arman, are you ready now?
Okay, Pak. Okay.
Okay, just giving you. Okay, so because I'm curious to hear from your perspective as well, from the industry in terms of ESG. I mean, what challenges and I mean, or maybe opportunities that you foresee? Do you foresee in further advancing ESG adoption across industries in Indonesia? I mean, you are part of the industry. Obviously, this is also an important issue for you. I mean, opportunities, challenges.
I may say like this, Pak. Okay, and everyone should that there are three challenges that I have found during my field in the market. First is that the regulations and also policy enforcement in doing the ESG Indonesia incentive. There's no yet there. For example, if you are buying the coal tariff for electricity per kilowatt hour is very cheap compared to the green electricity, even hydropower and solar panel. So I think this is the one that we see. We ask the government and also PLN to adjust and to readjust the pricing for the renewable. Why we are talking about the PLN? Because all the authority of providing electricity in Indonesia is still under the PLN. So even though it's renewable or not renewable, so we still discuss with PLN. For example, the pricing for coal can be one tenth lower compared to the green electricity power producer tariff. So I think this is more important. And then the second one is the availability. Artajasa has data center in Jatiluhur, right? In Jatiluhur, there is hydro power. There are two things that we have to see. Even though the price is accepted, but availability of hydropower in Indonesia is very challenging. From 12 months, it can serve only 9 to 10 months. Because the other two will be a scarcity of the waters in the hydropower producers. Paceklik tuh Pak, kemarau gitu Pak, kemarau di waduk tuh gimana bahasa Inggrisnya apa tuh Pak?
Or drought?
Huh?
Is it drought or?
Ya kemarau di waduk kan airnya turun, Pak. Jadi so from 12 months hero power in Jatul can only serve 10 months. I think so 2 months we still require PLN. So with this we see another one is the solar. Solar panel, I met last time the ambassador of Canada for Indonesia. He is very surprised with Indonesia. We have sunshine in Indonesia everywhere, Pak, from Aceh into Papua. Compared to Europe or Canada, that only 4 months or 3 months that can enjoy the sun. But in here, the solar panel is very rare and very few, Pak. So he said that, why don't you foster the deployment of solar panel in Indonesia, because we have sunshine over years rather than the hydro and us or wind. In Indonesia, wind is not viable, Pak. It's very few, Pak, in Indonesia, Pak. So if you trying to make wind power is very small, Pak. Kecuali masuk angin lah, Pak, ya. Banyak Indonesia, ya. So I think this is very important. So first is the regulations and policy enforcement, and the second one is the availability and then also the tariff. And then another one is the readiness of Indonesian company, Pak, to spend more for the benefit of society and environment, Pak. Especially for the infrastructure project require higher cost for environmental, for example, toll road, or else require money, require fund to sustain the environment. So how the government can adopt strict compliance to the company who involved in the project that impact the environmental and social safeguard, Pak. This is the one that we have to see. First, policy and regulatory enforcement, and then pricing, the availability, and then the one is the willingness of the company of Indonesia to allocate fund to more concerns on the environmental and social guards. That's my point of view, Pak. Okay, thank you very much.
And quite a comprehensive point of view as well, Pak Arman. I think we can organize a separate webinar just on this topic.
Okay,
and I'm sure there's something that we can explore later, right, Azfar, with CPA Australia on ESG. But unfortunately, we do have a limited time this morning for this webinar, and I'm aware that, and I do apologize for our participants that we slightly overshoot at the time. So I would like to sort of wrap up this discussion, Pak Nyoman, Pak Arman, Pak Azfar, with perhaps one final question. But before I go there, I do again apologize to all the participants if we did not have the opportunity to address your question, but I'm sure you've some of the information that has been shared by Pak Nyoman, Pak Arman, and Azfar as well has been very useful, very insightful sharing. So let us try to bring this back to, I guess, our profession, which is the accountancy profession. So maybe I will give the opportunity to all the panelists. Azfar, you included as well. Maybe I'll start with Pak Nyoman and then Pak Arman, and I'll let you have the final words, Azfar, on this. So maybe a call to action, just to close this discussion, gentlemen. So what is your call to action for accountants in Indonesia and maybe in the region as well? Because I know that we have also have regional participation from our colleagues from in the region. So what is your call to action for these accountants? Because they are potential, we are the potential partners, important partners, advisor for these business and organizations who are dealing with all of these challenges. What are your call to actions to these accountants? Start with from you, maybe, Pak Nyoman, please, Pak.
Okay, thank you. Velas, this is the most interesting question for us, actually, as accountant. Of course, we acknowledge that the business process have been evolving, technology also evolving. Of course, on this moment, I just emphasize for all of us here. The first one, accountant should be as a strategic partner. The second one, stay relevant. The first one, as an accountant, it is important to position yourself as a strategic partner, guiding business toward sustainable growth through insightful financial planning. Also, stay ahead of regulatory changes and ensure business operate ethically and compliant, of course, with the law and regulation. The last, of course, you can also transform financial data into actionable insight, empowering business to make informed decisions. Your analytic skills are the key to unlocking growth opportunities. And the second one, stay relevant. We acknowledge as well the financial industry is very dynamic and rapidly growing. As one of the most important supporting profession in the capital market, it is essential for accountant engaging in capital market to stay relevant in the current progress. Investors are demanding right now, more demanding than a previous year. The listed companies is required to implement ESG principle. Hence, the accountants should be mastering on sustainability disclosure standard. And disclosure of ESG information alongside with financial information is vital for investor and stakeholder. It allows them to make informed decision about the company and its potential long-term performance, its impact on society, and society's impact on the companies. Stay relevant. It is really important. Mas Oki, I return to you.
Thank you. Such a strong words, Pak Nyoman. I like that. Stay relevant and no pressure for Indonesian accountants, especially. So it's not just about IFRS financial reporting standards anymore. Now we do have now the disclosure, sustainability disclosure standards. So it's time for us, all of us, to learn all of these new standards, and well, more importantly, to help our businesses, right? Our organizations, our regulators as well. Just what Pak Nyoman has mentioned in his words. Thank you, Pak Nyoman. Pak Arman.
Okay, Pak Oki. I totally agree with Pak Nyoman, Pak Oki, that if you see the syllabus from Wharton School and also the Harvard Business School, that there are many course they are offering 5 days course saying that becoming strategic accountant for CEO. I think CEO need strategic partner are coming from the accounting background. So with this, it shows that accountants is not only doing the conventional or traditional accountant, but should be enhanced. I'm involved quite many times in voluminous M&A transactions, of which accountant can give flavor better in doing the transaction, because understanding what is the numbers, what is the objective, and what is the KPI. So I quote maybe from the book of BCG that say, are you playing to play or are you playing to win? So accountant can do the playing to win because they know the objective. I have to do a kind of numbers, multiples of EBITDA numbers. I need to achieve a percentage growth market in terms of revenue. I should have a kind of net income numbers. So it will create the clear objective and a definite KPI and objective for a company rather than only playing to play. So with this, I believe that accounting background can provide better environment. And another one like big data analytics, also important, requiring accountant skills. For example, I know Pak Oki house from, I can see Pak Oki house from here, and I know Pak Oki's spouse and kids because I can see from Google Map that you are coming to your house to the same map every day. But how to monetize this into the money and numbers? Accountant can provide flavor on that one. Thank you, Pak Oki.
No, thank you. Thank you, Pak Arman. Such a strong words of aspiration as well coming from you. Asfar, final words.
Yeah, I agree with Pak Nyoman and Pak Arman, very relevant points. But also coming back to the sentiment report and some of the results, I think we look at accountants as sort of preparing financial statements, but it's a wider role than that. We see Indonesian companies looking to access finance in 2024. So when businesses seek financing from banks or investors, accountants play a very crucial role here. They prepare financial statements, forecasts that lenders and investors use to assess a business, basically a small business, especially a new small business that don't have much credit to begin with. That's where the accountants play a bigger role by maintaining accurate financial records, implementing good accounting system, reducing errors to help businesses plan better for the year. Again, like you said, it's going to be an interesting year for Indonesia. Ensuring good risk management, accounting can come in there and monitor and mitigate financial risks, help them navigate possible regulations that come up. So sort of being aware of possible changes, and also a networking relationship. I think attending forums such as this is very key, so they can take insights. Even if you're not an accountant in Indonesia, if you understand what's happening in Indonesia, businesses could expand. We have ASEAN, we have ASEAN economic integration, business in Malaysia, Singapore, and everything, and take advantage of existing trade negotiations, existing infrastructure, and understand, oh, Indonesia is looking at this, and you could then go back to your businesses and say, look, we could fill a space in this market. So taking advantage of CPA and AFA's webinars and everything, and resources, this is where I feel it's to widen your scope beyond domestic market and look beyond that. That's all for me.
And I couldn't agree more, Asfar. Don't limit yourself, everyone. I mean, not just in terms of your network, in terms of the opportunities to engage with your fellow accountants in events such as today, but also in terms of what you can actually do as an accountant. So it's not just about all debit and credit. It's much more than that, especially now. Stakeholders' expectation to what we can contribute to them are more than just about financial reporting. So ESG with the sustainable disclosure is coming fast. So it's important for us to also being able to adapt to this, I guess, changing environment, and more importantly, the changing demand from our stakeholders. So Indonesian accountants, be prepared for the opportunities. So it's not just challenges, but opportunities. So I'm sure this is something that all of you can pick up from today's webinar as well, and then try to sort of, I guess, think about, and then maybe to try to I guess to extend this discussion among your peers and then your colleagues in your organizations. Well, that's an excellent way to wrap up our discussion today. Yeah, it's again, it's evident from our survey findings that business in Indonesia share positive outlook for 2024, and as highlighted in 2023. Improving innovation in technology, business efficiency, and cost management will continue to remain relevant this year, especially with the heightened uncertainties that may come this year in Indonesia to the political events happening in the country. So for the accountancy profession, it's also important to remember our role in partnering our stakeholders, including businesses and organizations, by providing our valuable advice always. And last but not least, I would like to urge you to once again go and download the full report and share it within your network and organization. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we close, I would like to invite you to share your feedback on our webinar today. So you can scan the QR code on your screen, or maybe take a quick screenshot, or maybe take a quick photo and then copy the link provided. So do complete the post-event survey if you like to claim your e-certificate of participation after this event. Your feedback would definitely very much appreciated. So on behalf of AFA, I would like to thank once again CPA Australia and IAI for the collaboration. Our utmost appreciation to the panelists, Pak Nyoman, Pak Arman, terima kasih, Bapak-Bapak. And of course, Azfar, thank you as well for your time. IAI, thank you IAI as our permanent secretariat in Jakarta for the technology support provided in hosting of today's webinar. And last but not least, our audience, of course, for participating. I mean, I couldn't remember the last time we had such an active audience participating in our discussion. Again, I do have to apologize. We could not address all of the questions that you have shared through the chat function. So thank you, audience. I hope you find the sharing and discussion informative and useful. And last but not least, don't forget to follow our social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook for more information about our events, activities, publications, and the latest information about the accountancy profession in ASEAN. My name is Oki Pratama. I look forward to welcoming you to our next event. Thank you. Terima kasih, Bapak-Bapak, Ibu-Ibu.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak.
Terima kasih, Pak.
Semua
Ya,
teman-teman.
izin live ya.
Thank you, Azfar. Congratulations.
Everyone, thank you.
See you
Terima
then.
kasih, Pak Nyoman. Terima kasih, Pak Arman.
Saya
Terima
Gede.
kasih,
Mas
Azfar.
Edwan.
Thank you. Thank you, IAI. Thank you, CPA Australia team as well. Thank you, everyone.